Hello fellow humans! So good to see you again. So today we're making a white bean linguine. I am getting the recipe off the Weight Watchers app. I've been using that Weight Watchers app quite a lot recently. I've got this and this in my fridge, like leeks, and I've got some rice in the cupboard, and then I've just been popping them into the Weight Watchers app under the recipes to see what I can make. So I'm really utilising the app at the moment. I think I go through phases. Sometimes I'm into my cookbooks and I'll go through my cookbook, a certain cookbook. I think, oh, I want to make all of these, and I'll make a list of all the things that I want to make. At the moment, we're definitely on with the app. And I think that that's keeping me on track a little bit as well, because when you get something from the app, it's all pointed up already for you. And if you need to edit it a little bit, there's a little pencil at the top of the recipe. So this is what I'm making today. And if I wanted to edit it, there's a little pencil here. And if I press that, you can then go to the ingredients and you can alter them. So you can have different amounts, or you can remove them completely and you can add ingredients. Anchovies, say you were going to put anchovies in it, pop that add and it'll recalculate. This recipe is 8 points per portion and it serves 4. I haven't been to my Weight Watchers meeting for such a long time, and I go and get weighed on Thursdays. So I am so looking forward to going, and I can report back to you guys once I've been, and I'll add it onto the end of this video. I can't wait to see all my friends. I'm looking forward to the meeting topic. It just seems like with the children being off school for Easter and so many different things going on, I wasn't able to get there. Very much looking forward to going there this Thursday. A couple of days ago I made a delicious chicken and vegetable pie. Really good. Paul liked it as well. I'm going to put the footage of me making the chicken and veg pie. Also, then I'm going to cut back to this day, so you're going to get the recipe for the chicken and veg pie, which you can cook along with me, and then I'll show you this linguine. To make this creamy chicken and veg pie, you will need 2 chicken breasts. Now I use the chicken breast off a roast chicken, that is just what I prefer. Half a tablespoon of low-fat spread, 1 onion, 2 carrots, 2 sticks of celery, 1 chicken or vegetable stock pot. Don't try and escape me, stock pot. 30 millilitres of Elmley single cream alternative. 160 grams of light puff pastry. And 1.5 tablespoons of plain white flour. A shake you down flour. Beginning the chopping of the fresh veg, so the onion, the carrots and the celery. I tell you what other veg would be great in this. Mushrooms, if you've got any mushrooms, or leeks. Any sort of vegetables you like really, but I know that leeks or mushrooms would go very well in a chicken pie. I have sampled many pies in my time and I know that they go well together. I also added, to get the veg content up in this recipe, some frozen vegetables. I had in some frozen sweet corn and some frozen broad beans. So I thought, big thumbs up to the broad beans, as they are giving me a little bit of protein as well. In goes half a tablespoon of light margarine. In go the veggies, and I cooked those down for a good 15 minutes until softened. After the 15 minutes, I added the 1.5 tablespoons of plain flour, then cooked this off for another 3 minutes. My measuring jug looming menacingly into shot there. Popped my stock pot into the jug, mixed with 250 millilitres of boiling water. Now, my sauce was extra thick, I think. 400 millilitres would be your best bet. It would still coat everything, it would be a little bit more juicy. I suppose it depends on whether you like sauce or whether you don't. I then added my frozen vegetables, so we had the baby broad beans here. I didn't measure the frozen veg. The veg in there make the portions a little bit bigger, and they are a 0 point food, and they're only going to be a good for me. So I like to bulk up on those veg. Once they had cooked for about 5 minutes, I added my cream alternative. This is a little bit lower calorie cream. So I used 30 ml of the Elmley single cream to make it very unctuous and that creamy chicken pie taste. So this is where you would end if you were making a vegetable pie. You would just put your crust on it now and pop it into the oven, but we are having a chicken pie, so in goes the chicken. Everything gets a coat of the sauce. You can see here how thick my sauce is. Transfer to a baking dish and then pop your pastry on top. Now my pastry had been frozen from fresh, and maybe it'd been frozen a little bit too long. It was in the sort of shape, it was like a wobbly wavy shape. I did the best I could with it. I placed that on top and then I brushed with a beaten egg. Here is the finished pie. The pastry looks a little haphazard, but it tasted really good. It went into the oven for 30 minutes. It looked delicious when it came out. So scrummy and comforting and delicious, as a pie should be. I would definitely make this one again. Struggling a little bit to get used to the oven. So you have to put it really high for it to sort of do its thing. The hob, usually I put it on like a 4 or a 5 in my other house. This one you've got to yank it right up to number 7 for it to bubble. It's just little things, I'm just not used to it. This is the first sort of meal I've cooked in it. That pie, oh my gosh, it smells amazing. I had some of the pie filling, it's like pot pie. I know it's going to increase the points, but you could put some chunks of ham in there as well. This pie was 8 points per portion and served 4. Me and Paul had it with some cauliflower and a small baked potato each. On to the puttanesca linguine. We're going to fry the ingredients for the sauce and we're going to cook the pasta after that. For this you will need, sometimes I'll sub out olive oil for fry light because this is quite high points. It takes a tablespoon of olive oil, which is 5 points in this recipe. Now, with it being a puttanesca style dish, I do think it needs the oil to coat the spaghetti and to make it more unctuous. A lot of the ingredients are 0 point ingredients, so it's just the linguine and the oil that I'm pointing up. So we've got 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 210 grams of dry linguine. In the recipe, it does say 240, but it is whole wheat linguine. Now I didn't have any. I could only get this white, so I've had to repoint, so I've had to cut my portion size down a little bit to keep the overall points at 8. So I'm using 210 grams, an onion, a tin of chopped tomatoes, a tin of cannellini beans. I'm going to add lots of garlic, so I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of this lazy garlic. I want it very garlicky. Some dried chilies, so I've got the jalapeno chili hot here. I like a lot of spice, so I will probably add around a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more to mine. Just add as much chili as you're comfortable with. A teaspoon of mixed herbs, or Italian style herbs if you've got those. I know 10 olives are 1 point. 2 tablespoons of capers. Capers are a 0 point food. Add a lot of flavour. Parsley. And 30 grams of Parmesan cheese. We begin by peeling and chopping the onion. Is then added to the olive oil in the pan to soften for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I put my 210 grams of linguine in the pan to boil. I added a sprinkle of salt to my pasta and then a sprinkle of salt to my onions. In go the 3 teaspoons of lazy garlic, and then I added my spices, a teaspoon of the chili flakes and a teaspoon of the mixed herbs. Roughly chop the capers. I had these large capers. I know you can get the very small capers. I do prefer the very small ones. The flavour is a little bit more concentrated, but these are the ones that I could get hold of. I then got my 10 olives out and I looked at the pitiful amount of olives and thought there is no way that is going to do 4 people. So I then added a mound of olives. I thought, I do not mind spending an extra point on these olives. Let's get them in there. So it put the puttanesca portion points up to 9 because I added a few more olives. I am happy to take that. Then added the capers and the olives to the pan with the onions and the herbs, and then added my can of white drained beans and a tin of chopped tomatoes. I left this to bubble for 10 minutes. Whilst that bubbled away, I chopped a very, very hearty portion of parsley. It's supposed to be very, very good for you, is parsley, isn't it? And it tastes sublime. I like heavy parsley in my pasta. I then added my linguine, had separated it a little bit as it had cooled slightly in the pan. To amalgamate the sauce and make sure it coated the pasta, I reserved some of the cooking liquid from the pasta and I just poured a little in that so that it all came together. I topped with my parsley and lots of black pepper. I'm so sorry I didn't show the puttanesca dished up. I did sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on the top. I didn't add it to the pan, I just added it to my portion. I had my friend over and her little girl and we were all eating the puttanesca. We sort of dove into it and then I forgot to film it because we were chatting and laughing. They didn't have the Parmesan cheese and they loved it. I obviously am a cheese fiend and I just had a little bit sprinkled on the top. I did add a little bit more salt as well. There were a lot of salty ingredients in that pasta, but it just needed a little touch more. So just have a taste at the end, see what seasoning you need. I put lots of black pepper on and lots of fresh parsley. It was really good. And my friends asked me for the recipe, so it must have been quite good. So I went to my Weight Watchers meeting. This is why I'm checking in with you at the end of the video. Yes, I went this morning, £1.5 off. Hey, really pleased with that. That's really good. It's the direction I want to be going in. And like I said, my friend came over last night and we did have, I did have a little bit of chocolate, I have to say, but obviously £1.5 off, that's really, really good. I'm really pleased. So thank you so much for watching this week, guys. I've had to come over to this window because it always looks, it's nice and bright. I went out over to the 2 other windows and there were workmen stood there, section me, I think. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next week. Bye bye, guys.